That's just also time in nursing home. You know,
And I take what it's food.
it just seems that the ability to witness,
I don't know whether
it's
I can
greater
take
and
it.
greater and greater.
Oh.
Yeah, really comes from just plain serving and loving people. You know, it's not complicated. It really isn't. You know, and
The more I do what I do, the more I realize that, just be friends.
yeah,
Like you, go ahead and finish what you were saying about the nursing home.
but you know, I gather groups of people just by starting singing.
Yeah.
You know, and
You mean they don't scatter?
no, they come.
Amazing.
And they are drawn, you know, and it's like, it reminds me of how, you know, street preaching
I don't know if I
preach or something like that, where when you have something notable, they come, you know, it's like that old movie, if you build it, they'll come, you know, and the people are so receptive, you know, and they have this one lady, Brenda, who is going through, she's starting to lose her eyesight because of MS. And, you know, she's got 2 kids, older kids. And she realizes what a gift it is when they just come to visit. Because kids don't have time to do stuff. But for her, and she so appreciates it, and you know, she knows every one of those songs, and she couldn't read a book. Something was planted in her. And when you get through, like, when you know the history of some of the singers, like Fannie J. Court, here she is, she lives till 93, blind at 6 years old, and she writes over 3,000 hymns. And we sing a lot of it. You just look at the rotation on the left and see Fannie J. Crosby there. And I bring it out. I said, now, I think one of them was Redeemed How I Love to Proclaim. And you read the words and you go, how can a blind person write this song? It just doesn't even make sense because I'd be probably sitting having a pity party. Can't see. I used to be able to see. I can't see now. And I want to meet her mother or her father when I get to heaven and ask questions. You know, how can a 6-year-old on have such pertinent ability to sing a song that would touch hearts 100 years
I
later?
believe she saw what nobody else saw.
Well, no, why does the blind see? But, you know, when we look at our own afflictions and we sometimes say, oh, me or my, and yet these people who write these hymns, most of them were afflicted beyond any of us. You know, if you lost, you know, most of your family, would you write a song? Oh gosh, come on. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's just, and so there's a songbook that you could read and use in your witnessing called, there's several of them, Then Sings My Soul. And it gives you 150 greatest hymns, and it gives you the history of the author right next to it. So yesterday we were singing, God bless America, right? And the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and, you know, America the Beautiful. And you go, you know why you don't hear these songs? Because it mentions God too much. You know, and I'm praying for revival. Unless you do something.
I got an issue with that.
What?
Revival. But before I get to that, I'll tell you what happened. Tuesday, I volunteered at the Northwest Presbyterian. They had the homeless shelter open, or the Coney shelter. And so I was up between 5 and 10. And I'm going to tell you, they have to be I know that they are. Because I've been doing this a long time, and there was a time where me and John Binder got in a car and we did a survey who had the best food at the shelter. And so we went to all the different shelters.
Any food is good.
No. I would tell you what, these people at Northwest Presbyterian, back 10 years ago, were number 1.
5-star.
And they're still number 1. Dude, I was there, and they made mac and cheese, not mac and cheese, the ground beef with the hamburger.
Hamburger mac.
Yeah. And dude, that was good. Okay, I just only had one. And so, then they made barbecue chicken. Oh my God. And then,
Probably all.
What was that? Bacon and eggs.
and then
No gravy?
they had like strawberry
Elsie.
shortcake or whatever. Yeah. I mean, the food was just so incredible. I said, dude, don't you guys realize that if you keep feeding them like that, they'll keep coming back? But they only do that in the Coney shelters.
Yeah.
But during the week, on Monday and Tuesday, they open up for breakfast at 6 in the morning. And they've been doing that for years, and they have a washer and dryer there for the guys and shower and all that.
Ham and cheese
But-
and onion omelets.
What happened to my omelet?
Looking at him now.
You got an oatmeal floating around out there?
Yeah, not yet. She can give it to me yet.
Wow.
Had the
But-
hardest. I down the oats.
Really? But I tell you,
microwave.
what a meal! They really treat their people well. They really treat well.
That's the church as a whole gets together. A bunch of them, right?
No, not
10
that.
people? Dozen
That-
people?
A lot of the people, back in the day, if y'all remember, a lot of the churches, the people
The
would
hash
get
and
involved.
cheese is yours, right?
But as the church declines, the numbers decline, the people get older, and so they don't have as many volunteers. That's why, like, he'd call me up and then need some volunteers, and I'll try to put out there, bring volunteers there. And like Jim has been doing that for a long time. He's up in his late 70s.
I ain't complaining.
And he says, who's gonna do this after I leave? Who has the heart to do that? Him and his wife are just incredible. So again,
You'll always be training your replacement.
but you try. Yeah, the problem is, and I had
Yeah.
to find a replacement in these days is hard. Who's gonna? If something happens to you, who's gonna run your thing? Nobody has the heart that you do. The replacements are not there. It's much. I fired an accountant that I had one time. Always told me, "Oh, you gotta delegate," and I kept looking at him. You gotta have someone to delegate to, and somebody that wants to do something. My God, like who's gonna do what you do? Because where's the heart of the people? Where's the heart of the people? They're not there. And it gets me so angry because, people like yourself and, that are doing, like what you're doing, you just love it. It's just incredible, but where are the people?
Yeah, please.
And and we talk about revival. That's what I said about revival. And it says, the revival comes when there's a change in the hearts. Why do you even go out and do anything?
I'm just praying for the Holy Spirit to intervene, even when I came over last night, the day part. What did it take? It took one man to stand up against England. And what did it do? It just it perpetuated what the belief was, because generally speaking, most of the people are just willing to be slaves and be used. And you go, really? You know, oh, you would give your wife to a nobleman the night of your wedding? I was like, who the heck made that law? A nobleman. And it just was like, you know, when God chose to flood the earth, and it says, and men's hearts were continually toward evil. Okay. The New Testament says that as in the days of Noah, so shall it be before the coming of the Son of Man. So you mean to tell me, so now in New York they can deliver the baby and try to kill it? You know? And you go, oh, thank you so much.
This is incredible.
Up to 1 day before delivery.
And you go, really? I mean, is it getting this sick? How much sicker does it go?
I know, I told her.
This is, I was the first one here.
I know, tell me about it.
You were the third one to order.
Wow.
But
This is mine.
you know, the thing, and we see it, you can see it especially in this country, and around the wild, is an antichrist spirit. And, you know, it's like, I tell people about, I use the example of DNA, the difference being the distorted nature of Adam or the divine nature of the Almighty. And most people, if you're not saved, if you're not following Jesus, you've still got that distorted nature of Adam, and that's where the Antichrist spirit can wreak havoc. And it's running wild in this country. Look at Washington, look at your state governments. You know, I mean, it's got to the point where they can't even agree to disagree. I mean, you know, I mean, it's not a question. It's not a question of
Catastrophic thing. Stop interrupting. Because, you know, when 9/11 happened, churches were closed for a couple of weeks. You know, but, I mean,
We're not ready now.
So what did Jesus say? Wars and rumors of wars? Grumbling, look at all the earthquakes and all the different things that are happening in places that they never happened before. They're bringing, it's being brought forward to the attention of the people. I believe the Bible calls that the end times.
So you know that, and that, you know, and that, I guess that, what? Is that your name?
Yeah, you got to.
But you know, and that's the biggest, the biggest thing that my friend called me. I was in the hospital with Edwin, and he, yeah, I'm very cute, but I guess. And he called me from Oregon. And he was driving, and he said, "I gotta talk to somebody. I am so mad." I said, "What's going on?" Because this abortion and, you know, and what happened in New York, and he's telling me all this. I says, you know, hold on, man, hold on. What does the Word of God say? In the last days, these things, the world is going mad now. Look at it right now. Wherever you go, they're going mad. They're killing. They're going in. And that's what the Word of God told us. And what does it say? When you see these things happen, know that by His return, and we should rejoice that it's coming. And so, you know, yeah, pray, yeah, be mad because you think that to kill a baby right out of the womb. What? What kind of crazy stuff is that?
Remember, we don't fight against flesh and blood. We fight against principality and powers, and the devil's just running rampant in amongst those. He's killing, he figures, okay, let's get him in the womb. You know?
No, Peter, no.
Yeah, I know. Well, stop him all life.
I think we ought to close the churches on Sunday and get everybody that goes to church, go out there and knock on some doors, talk to people. minister, be out there and be visible. Don't hide in the four walls anymore. Get out of the church.
He said, you know, that most people, even good Christians, most of them look at church as that building on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right here.
And I work for one guy that talk about the Bible and pass out Bibles. And every Sunday he was at Calvary Baptist where he went, you know, and he told me one time, he goes, I'm not some of my best business contacts.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I said, yeah, it's just a social gathering. And I said, Russ, you realize you go to church on Sunday and you stand around there, you know, talking about Jesus, and the rest of the week you're dancing with the devil.
Yeah.
And he looked at me kind of funny, and we had a good Catholic girl who was our receptionist, you know, born and raised up in New York. And he had given her a Bible and said, this is the Bible, you gotta read this. Now, because the Catholic Bible's got so many extra books in it and all that other stuff, right? And she said to me when I started working there, she goes, I really believe that God brought you here for me. She goes, because I listened to him, and she goes, and I know he's sleeping with 2 different women.
Oh my
How can I
God.
believe in this guy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, really, yeah. His divorce, and he had 2 girlfriends, he was sleeping with them. And he almost fired me one time. I said, you know, I said, don't talk the talk, walk the walk. He almost told me to hit the door.
Hopefully not at the same time.
Really.
County, what county was some of the
I knew him, if he could have arranged it, he would have. And that's what I told her. I told her, I said, you gotta read the Bible and understand it and believe it yourself and don't listen to what everybody else tells you.
And keep it up with the wrestling?
Because people take the Bible and make it say what they want when they want to manipulate.
Yeah.
I guess Strowman's gonna retire, huh?
Yeah.
We have to come and deal with ourselves first.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know,
It was,
when you deal with self first, then you could help
in
others,
April.
because
Self-help.
let God do the judging.
Declaration is coming out.
It's a mess, we all know it's a mess. Let God do the judging.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
I really believe there's a verse in the Old Testament that talks about that we would make people
I like
jealous.
it. He was my favorite.
You know, I
Roman Reigns.
get so much flack because of my hair. I just haven't done that road as long as Braveheart.
Are you gonna ride that horse too?
I just,
But you got yellow, they're not gonna use.
Sure.
Hardware truck.
He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns.
See, and I think another problem that some Christians have is they don't really read the entire Bible and they don't live by Jesus' word. And you get a lot of them that, you know, they get judgmental. They're judging others. And it doesn't say, it's nothing about judging. Judging is up to Father God. That's up to Jesus. We judge
It
the,
does
we
talk about
we
judging.
judge the
It says,
fruits.
judge yourself, then you won't be judged.
I'm talking about other people.
Yeah.
We judge the fruits and not the person. Because what you might,
inspector.
we might see something and say, what, gosh, and that person, you don't know where they are in their walk. I mean, what makes you perfect? You know, you're not.
I got a guy that every year, he's a biker, old man, he's 78 now, been in the hospital, and carpenter. Every year, he brings me 50 turkeys. His AA group, they get together and they and they get the turkeys. His AA group, been in AA for years. He's the one that actually got me going, doing drive-bys with, you know, coffee runs and stuff. He's still doing it. He's still doing it. You know, how he can't probably quote you a book, chapter, and verse, man, but at least he's living the word, you know, living it. I want to see more people living the word than talking over it, you know.
You know, I get leery when I run into somebody that can quote you chapter and verse from anywhere in the Bible off the top of his head. God keeps saying, yeah, that's because it's stuck north of his nose. Don't get to the heart. And there are people that have, they studied it long, like Perry Stone.
Yeah.
But even he won't quote right off the top of his head. He go check it in the Bible and make sure he's got the right word. 40 years of studying the Bible. The Hebrew integrate.
I love Joyce Myers when she says, you know, she gets mesmerized by these people that they memorize books and they'll rattle it out. And she'll go, wow, that's awesome. I keep forgetting what lamentation is, so I have to look at the, you know. And so, you know, so you get so caught up in memorizing something, but you don't live the word, you don't live the gospel. And again, we have to be proactive. God says, go and make disciples. Go witness. Go share the gospel. Go. I mean, if you're excited about something, you go and do it. Have we lost our excitement? That we lost that joy, man, the happiness, man. Look what the Lord has done. You know, I love that song. We should play that a lot at the center. You know, I love that song. And you know, how about testimony time? What did God do to you for you this year, today? You know, this week. How about those days?
And they keep not just a moment.
Yeah, yeah, really.
Sometimes you give people testimony and want to tell you about the whole problem they went through. They spent 25 minutes and 2 minutes honoring God.
Yeah.
And then he took me away from it. Thank you very much. And walked, you know, but you know, you were talking about, you know, old guy with bikers. And, you know, I go up to Cleveland for conferences with Perry Stone, Voice of Evangelism. We were up we had the dedication that year, so 3 years ago, maybe. We dedicated our new conference hall, the Mega Center. And I'm in there, and here comes these, like 6 couples with their colors on. And he had come up, and I met, he goes, they call him Bubba. He's the president of the chapter. And they were bikers from way across Georgia, okay, down close to the Florida border. And we got talking, and you know, they turned around and they had biking for Jesus in their colors. You know, it turns out the whole club has a ministry down there, and they feed the homeless and the poor in the parks. Okay, they take it to the streets. Really, you know, they're out on the streets, and you know, bikers, and it's gotten to the point where the city realized what they're doing. Leave them alone. You know, at first they thought they got out. They're all, no, most of them are younger than me. A lot of them are in their late 40s, early 50s, and they go out. Like, I think they go out like 3 or 4 times a week. Find those that are hanging around in the parks and cook up a meal. The city finally waived the ordinances so that they could just set up a grill and feed them any of the parks they're in. But that's, you know, that again. Yeah, but that's again, it's like, you know, if I'd have been just someone on the street, the first thing I'd have said, oh, bikers, watch out. You know, and what I said was, oh, bikers at the Omega Center? This is interesting. You know? And I went over and I can go away, I went through.
Give me some of them old school guys, man. I don't care if you're rough, whatever, man. But they have heard about Jesus and they love Jesus. They're doing the best they can. They get out there and do something. The other day, man, I got my big pot of coffee and getting ready to make some. And then I had to go to the hospital for my son-in-law. But I said, you know, shoot, I gotta get myself set up at home so I can make some coffee, and then I'm gonna see if I can find some people, somebody to go with me and do some, like today, I don't care, even though the cold night shelter is not open, it's still cold out there. And a hot cup of coffee to somebody
makes a difference.
Makes a big difference, you know?
In their spirit too, not just their physical. Yeah.
And we used to have more fun doing that, sharing the gospel with people, and I have people that still remember, man, I remember you, man. Oh, man, we used to wait for you for that coffee and all that, you know? No big deal, man. No big deal. That ain't no breaking, huh?
You say about, the old rough and tumble ones? Look at Jesus' apostles, only 4 of them were educated. The other 8 were rough working fishermen and other, like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, Peter ready to cut your ear off, man.
Yeah.
We need some more of them around here.
At least in here.
At least.
Since I started getting interested in the RV life, I went on there. You go online and on like Facebook, various different types of groups that you can join on Facebook groups with common interests. There's probably 24 or so different groups related to RV life. I joined several of them, depending on what the subject of that group was. But I go on there every day, and the best thing that I find about it is they share information about how to fix things. If your RV breaks down, somebody will go online and say, hey, my RV just broke down, this is what's happening, what can I do? And people will voice they give good information. But there's a lot of commentary on there about people complaining about this or that, or they'll say they'll go to a particular RV park and people let their dogs run loose and things like that. And very often they'll make comments about things like people approaching them with needs, panhandlers, that kind of thing. And you kind of get a cross section of people's attitudes. And what I find disheartening about this is a hardening of the heart for anybody who has needs.
Yep.
And these are people, I don't know who's a Christian and who isn't when you're reading something online, but a lot of them come across as professing to be Christians. And yet they have a totally distorted approach to people in need. It's like they talk about people on the street corner when they drive through town panhandling, and they say, well, I never give money to them because all they're going to do is get drugs. Well, that kind of thing. And everybody will jump on board and say, oh yeah, I had a bad experience with this, or I had a bad experience with that. I think the problem with the Christian church today is that such a huge portion of the people really aren't Christians. They profess
He
because
told me he had a real good
they even
visit.
think they are.
One fire church.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you kind of walk up and witness to somebody and they say, well, I am a Christian.
I used to know.
Why?
I guess.
What makes you a Christian?
You lose a little weight.
Oh, I was born here, where my family's always been.
Yeah, I'll say.
Or I come from a Christian family.
Baptist minister.
Yeah. Or because I belong to a church.
You were born in a country that is a Christian country. So
Yeah.
automatically you're a Christian.
And because they think they're Christians,
He finally got below 300. He was
they don't see a need for any kind of
328,
change in their
Yeah.
life.
and
I am
he's
a
down to
Christian.
295 now.
I don't have to worry about all that stuff, you know.
He wants to get about another 100 pounds.
Anyway,
I thought we saved the phone.
I see a lot of good stuff when I'm in these.
What did you say?
But
I was gonna say, probably the biggest problem in regards to what you're
Down to
saying
2 months.
is
I've got down to
here in America, we have
218, and then it
because I've been
seems like I
reading
go back up a
the
little
book,
bit, back down.
Yanni and
back up.
Tigers by Drew
Doctor
Dodge.
says I got too much fat in my blood.
And the premise of the book is basically, here in
I
America, we have
little
pretty
bit
much
right back
lost
on.
the sense of the holiness
It
of
is.
God.
You know, and
You look at any time in the Bible, God's holiness is revealed. Even the ones who were the most, John, the beloved disciple, fell down and is dead before God's holiness.
You see these food commercials.
We've
Oh, man,
basically
I
lost
want that.
a true sense of the
Go in
fear
the
of
kitchen,
God.
get something.
And
Sit down. Then
in our discipleship efforts, even those of us that are strong
Yeah.
Christians, probably since
hard.
we kind of haven't gotten has started to lose grasp of that holiness, have passed that lack of holiness on down and on down and on down, so it's just all muddled to where, yeah, there is that sense of the lack of need because we lack the sense, we need to change because we lack the sense of the holiness that we need to understand to fully realize the love of God.
Right, I agree. Satan has,
Well, see, my brother, he's had pretty
You know, I was going to pick up on talking about holiness. What it is,
He said it's something to get it off. I said, yeah.
for holiness, our thinking of
Him and his wife had a little
holiness, which
bit
is
of-
do's and don'ts. You know, and then that's, and comparative righteousness.
They
What
this
happens
job's
when
done
you
over
do
here.
that is
They,
you neglect
they
the
made
very
me do
thing
some
holiness is
sod.
designed
That's the only reason I'm
for
over
you
here watering that
to,
sod.
and that is to enter into the presence of God.
Amen.
If you've ever been in the presence of God, it's not
Like having a
comfortable.
big brother
Because
looking over your shoulder.
when you get near a holy God in the condition that you are, I don't
you know
care
you're-
how righteous you are, you
They
know
got a couple
the
more jobs
difference.
coming up, but
You do not
you can't
feel,
let some people go.
I mean, humility comes in.
They haven't started.
The presence is what we're missing, and you don't hear too much about the
No,
presence of God anymore, other than
But,
the
I tried to
superficial
get
way.
Come down when I took my
It was
vacation.
described by one of the church fathers,
Usually
I
I go
think,
up there.
as
He said,
mysterium
"No, it's
tremendum,
supposed to work."
the mystery that causes
a
you to
month.
tremble.
Right, he could have came down, and so the last week he did come down. And he made arrangements.
You just know how to, this just came,
I told him
That sounds like a
this just
Catholic
came to
phrase.
me, Fritz.
Then they took the time.
Right and the righteousness. And it's like, a lot of Christians,
was something like,
you know,
mysterious.
they're righteous in what they know,
Yeah,
but they're not righteous in living what they know.
He said
Theirs
theirs
to
came back
live
good on a lot
life.
of property up there.
What you were saying, you were gonna say
Yes, they
that.
did.
yeah, I was going to say, and I've said this before, and I think we've talked about it before, but I think
Just the way.
the biggest problem in the church today is complacency. And Satan has lots and lots of
Right
tricks,
across the street, the shells.
but I think complacency is probably the most powerful one he has.
Just like Walgreens.
Because that's
Walgreens
what
go
causes
in,
us to
CVS
sit back and not do
And I
it.
heard the brothers.
We think,
They're brothers, and if one builds, the other
sure,
builds.
there's more people in the street.
Afraid he goes to $1 more than
Well, we
the
have
other.
a government to take care of it. So I don't have to do anything. I think the worst thing, we talk about mistakes that the church has made. I think the biggest mistake our country has made is when they provided welfare and
Did you know Howard's Flea Market up there?
I don't even know all the programs, but
Yes, they're gonna
in the
Chicago, I think.
earlier part of
Somebody in
last
Chicago
century,
bought this one and the
if there
one
were
in
needs in the community,
It's
the
called
church stepped in and took care of those needs.
Chicago Mall.
They took care of the orphans,
It's,
they took care of the
still
widows.
has
It's called Schwapalama.
Yeah,
FEMA and
but
everything ran out up there. It's
I
still
don't
unbelievable
care, I
stuff.
don't care the
They
other
run
way.
into all kinds
that's
of
true.
restrictions now.
Yeah.
I think when the government started creating these policies to provide for
They
people,
started already.
Yeah.
people themselves
And then
started to
that
step back and
following
say,
Monday, we were off.
that's not my problem anymore. I have a government to take care of that. I no longer need a party to
I've
help
never been
people.
there 2 or 3 years.
And when the government
Over there,
can't
Schwapalama.
fulfill that
They
role,
bought that one too.
we wind up with needy people.
But the word of
From
God
Chicago.
specifically gives us
Thank you.
the responsibility.
Yes, but we got complacent.
Yeah.
We don't have
Right, and so, we lost the joy of the Holy Ghost.
Well, they're tired of
I
the cold
remember,
Yeah.
snow and stuff.
and I can see it right now,
Chicago and
those times, like for example, that when we went to like Promise Keepers conferences, where men were broken and crying, and they're at the foot of the cross, and the motivational thing, that I mean, we were excited. We were excited. You know, like the other day, I was gonna go make a coffee
Put Dick
and
and
go
Ray.
out into the neighborhood. And you know what? I did not have one person that I could call to go out with me and go be about my father's business and help. Didn't have one person. You know, not one person could I even think of that would be able to go and do that. because of the complacency. But I remember there was a time, man, where we could, yeah, man, let's go, let's go do this. Let's go help, let's do this. But, you know, complacency. Man, we ain't gonna take what we got with us home to heaven. But yet we keep stockpiling. And where has our heart gone? Where is the love of God, you know? This is good. This is good, and I'm glad that we do this on a regular basis. But it's not good enough.
I think some of it might also be fear. I get out there and I have seen it is. People are gonna do this. You know, this church is gonna say I'm defending it. It's like, it scares people. And then you said the devil, he does his best work in the church.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Does his best work in the church. I know people that claim to be Christian.
I've been craving
Near us.
potatoes.
I'm spiritual.
My doctor
But
said
she hadn't been to church in like 20 years.
You know, I've been eating
The
sweet
reason?
potatoes, but
I don't
it
get
ain't like
church.
home fries.
Yeah,
And
I
I told
know.
my brother,
I said to her, I said,
on the way down,
no man,
buy
no
anything,
woman
I'm
is
gonna get some
my
home fries.
God said he gathered from the edifying the body. Okay, you're just a hand, you're not the whole body. But she won't grasp that, she's spiritual, and I pray to God. I said, which one? And she just looked at me funny.
That's what he said.
That's the problem.
That's why you watch, I bet for the next 20 years that there aren't any churches left. The reason being is the same reason why every Denny's and everywhere else is closing up. The elderly, as they get older or whatever like that, are dying out, and the youth, the millennials, just hang around at home. They're on that phone, they're in their house, they don't go out, they don't.
Maybe
Here after the church, just a couple blocks from the shop. Been there since 1946.
Homemade bread, I get ready to eat a loaf of it.
Everybody
That's
buys.
Peter.
Yeah.
And you know.
You're not going to, you know, somehow we lost the kids. Somehow remember how they used to be excited to go because they went to go to Sunday school and.
I'm gonna contradict this a little bit. We haven't lost them all. No, just certain areas have lost them. Because I can show you, when we have our Warrior Fest in Cleveland, I'll show you 75 teenagers staying 5 days standing and dancing on the floor. Twice, yeah, but I'm saying, that's just one spot. This happened around the
But that's
country,
what
but we don't
happens,
pay
it's an
attention.
event, it's an event, you
You know,
know,
right.
it's like the same thing when Hillsong comes around.
Right.
That Australian group comes, I guarantee you, it'll sell out the
Well, yeah, but
any
these
stadium or any.
These kids are coming from around the country, but it's being sponsored and run by our 400 youth group, 400 strong youth group here that invite them in, and it's amazing.
But I think what he's saying about that is that, you know, we'll go to the conference, we'll get hyped up, you get all excited, you see the people, they tear there. But what do they do afterwards? What do we do after we get out of church? What do we do after we get out of here? What do we do? You know, what are we doing? There's an anxiety about our relationship. Oh, we love God. Oh man, we had a great service last Sunday. What did you do Monday through Saturday?
But here's another thing that turns a lot of kids off. You go to your church, okay? And the adults, the older adults, that's not the right way to worship. Why are you looking at the Bible on your iPad? That song is not Christian. Well, they're considering Chris Tomlin one of the greatest kings of this decade, this group. Okay? They had the same thing 50 years ago and 100 years ago. But times change, the songs are changing, and the kids are singing these songs, and we're telling them they can't sing it because it's not like the ones we sing. And so they're trying to worship God with their songs, and we're telling them they're not doing it right. Well, where did we ever get it perfectly right?
You know, we've had revivals that have swept this country. I know the one that affected me the best was the Promise Keeper. And that was outright, on the books, a revival. And I know that many a men's lives were changed and transformed even to this day. And because their focus wasn't the church per se, but it was Christ and getting Christ into the man. And when men come together, they're there crying and pouring out their heart, man, there's a transformation. Every time I go and say at Aldi's and some people come in, oh, that was the best thing. Oh, it was wonderful when we went over there. Oh, what a great day. But what the heck are you doing now? We should be walking in revival all the time. But what's the last time that you had an experience like that? When's the last time? And we can't live on yesterday's manna. We need fresh manna, fresh anointing. You know, we need to wake up as men and get our butt off our dairy ears and go be about our Father's business.
Well, Mike touched on, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, Mike touched on about the church being complacent because the government, that's the government's job and stuff. What's happened in the church too, you know, you say, hey, there's people outside the church dying and going to hell every day. Oh, that's the pastor's job. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
No, every believer is accountable.
Or the other excuse, we'll pray for them.
Yeah.
You go out and lift them up off the ground. But
You
yeah,
don't
but
flippantly say
you
it.
just sit there and pray for them. Oh God, will you take care of them? I'm busy.
You know, I go to the Northwest over there to help them out. Now, I'll be honest with you, you question where these people are at. You know, the Jim that's been doing this for a long time and 20 years, 30 years. I look at him and he's smoking cigarettes and sometimes something comes out of his mouth and all that. And you look at him and say, well, what kind of example is that? Well, the example of 30 years of service and helping men, helping them get their lives together. Yeah, so he smokes a cigarette. That's on him. But you know, the heart condition, sometimes the heart condition doesn't change the outward conditions, the way they may act. But at least that individual is doing something and sharing the gospel, praying the best that he can and what he knows. You know, sometimes we have a preconceived idea of what it's supposed to, we're supposed to look like all the time. You know,
Bottom line, we're not all supposed to be Billy Graham, but what are you doing? Are you doing your best for the Lord? And I'm sure most of us could say as much as we're doing, we're not doing enough.
Yeah, well, I also think that as Christians we lose track of time a lot of times. Because I found myself thinking back in the good old days, like you're saying. But what I didn't realize, when you really stop and think about it, this is 2019. You know, you got guys that are fighting over in Afghanistan and different areas that weren't even alive in 2000. You know, they're 18 years old, newly into the service, and they're out fighting for this country. Well, when I think of some of the big things that I've seen the Lord do in my life, a lot of it is pre-2000. You know, and it kind of sneaks up on you a little bit sometimes. But I think if we kept in mind, you know, that when's the last time you or I have entered into the presence of God? And I mean, I include myself with that. Because it makes a difference, you know.
Everything, if we're our relationship with God, and if we don't get into the Word and read the Word, and God speaks to us, revival begins in that Word. Revival begins in prayer. You look at people like William Seymour and what they did. That revival, Azusa Street revival. Every revival that ever has happened, that you documented back in prayer. Prayer. We have a prayerless country. We got prayerless churches. You know, just because I'm going to be doing a sermon here soon, you know, now I forget the title about it. But, you know, dead works. Get rid of dead works. See, you know, you could go to church every week and it's still a dead work. You could be in the choir, it's dead work. Why are you doing it for? What's the results? What's going on? What's the dead work? You know, you can go to prayer meetings. and have dead works. Because if you're just going to pray, so what's happening from that? What's the results from that? God says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, didn't I do this and that and this? I'll go to the nursing homes, I'll go to the prisons, go to feed the homeless people. I did all these wonderful works. He says, I don't even know you. I don't even. It's a good thing that you did that, but I don't know you. Where is your relationship with God? The power of what we do is in our spirit, the relationship with God. That when we go in, the devil runs out because he knows that the Spirit of God is in there. You know, I preached at Haven of Rest a couple of weeks ago. And it was the pastor said, I never heard you preach, but you really connect with the people. Well, you know why? I am the people. I know where their heart. I know what it is. I know what that's about. So we got to preach to them Jesus. Not condemnation, not beating them down, but preach Jesus to them.
We're talking about dead works, in the church and that, but how many dead works are done out here supposedly because God is putting us out there and we're going to help these people, but they're out there doing it not for the glory of God, for their own recognition. I know him and I know him, and yeah, they're out there feeding the people every weekend. They're great people.
Did you hear about that guy the other day? He had a megaphone. He was down on the streets of Clearwater, and he was yelling at the Scientology and preaching against them and stuff. And they called the cops on him, of course.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
Disturbing the peace.
And they said, sir, you're going to have to stop this. You're disturbing the peace and stuff like that. And he says, I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to listen to the police. I'm listening to God. Of course, they arrested him. You know what I mean? So what kind of testimony is that?
Exactly. Render unto Caesar's what's Caesar's and what's... You know the best way to shake that area up down here, like we used to do when we had the Bible schools up on Homerton Road? Just stand on the corner of Port Harris and Cleveland and open the Bible and just start talking to people. They all go around. They don't want to come near you.
Last week, Pastor Eric was preaching on, well, I'm not going to get into the whole sermon, but he emphasized our need to enter into the presence of God, and he talked a lot about that. And he differentiated between praying and, and actually entering into the presence of God. And he said, when you actually do it, you'll know you're in the presence of God. You're going to know you're there. And I've been there. I know what it means. But I'm the first to admit it's been a long time since I was actually in God's presence. And that's something I'm struggling with now. It's not something I'm worried about because I'm working through it. But it's been a while. I don't know what happened in my life that made me step back from it. It's been a long time since I was actually in God's presence. And that's what we've got to strive for. Not saying a prayer and giving our tithe and
all those things become superficial if you're not careful.
Yes, when you enter into the presence of God, that you're going to know how to overcome all these things we've been talking about. But if we don't have that close relationship where we're actually walking not after God, but with God, that He reveals how to overcome all these problems. And that's what I'm struggling with. Well, not struggling with, that's what I'm working with right now.
That time I told you about just now about down on Port Harrison there, I was a brand new baby Christian. And that was the first time I did get a chance to really experience God's work, because one of the girls, I can't remember who it was, but she was like 8.5 months pregnant. This one guy walked up to her and this, and I don't know, I just felt weird, and I said, well, let's see what the word. Wait a minute, Mother's got something to say about that. And this guy hissed and just darted around the corner. I realized it was a demon. I looked at her, she looked at me, I went around the corner, he was gone. And there was no place for him to disappear except up in thin air. Because the one door that was there was locked. And I looked and I went, I was like this. And I realized just how powerful that word is right then. And that was about 38 years ago.
You know, we when revival, before revival comes, God calls who? The men. Every indication in the word, he summons the men first. The men are supposed to be the head of the home. The men, and when men pray, the world shakes. When men pray. But when men pray in spirit and in truth, in unity, things happen. It's good that we do this, but it's better that we get together really in prayer. We come and we edify, we encourage. It's wonderful because we're supposed to. When we get out of here, we should want to be doing something. I get encouraged when my brother here gives testimony when he goes over there because he's excited. He's excited about what he does because of the whole the people of the ministry, the people that get saved. When was the last time we had? I love to hear that when you're in your backstreet ministry where people have you're ministering to them, and you had we all should always have a testimony of what God is doing. Even if we give a loaf of bread or something to somebody, share the gospel, love on people. We have an indictment against us if we're not doing something for the glory of God. There's an indictment, and it's sad. God's been working on me. I don't walk on water. I fall short. There's things that I should have been doing that I'm not. But I grow weary and tired like everybody else. But you know what? I remember going to that men's thing conference where there's a couple of churches together, and that guy's playing the songs and everything, and he's playing on his bass 1 minute, and the next minute he's playing a harp up in heaven because he died right there at that conference, right on the stage. He died. Boom, boom, boom. That's where I want to go. God says if you put your hand on the and you look back, you're not worthy. And that's what God's telling us, man. Get off your dirty air and be about my business, because guess what? Fresh fire, fresh anointing, revival in our own hearts.
Strive to be like Jesus and at least be like Enoch. Enoch was so righteous that he was translated to heaven when they were headed out.
Amen.